Welcome to the Spatial Realities Show. My name is Thomas Riedel. I'm a tech journalist from Cologne and host and producer of this podcast. In this podcast, you learn all about XR, metaverse, immersive media, and spatial computing. And today I have not just another interview guest for you, but somebody special with great influence in the Austrian XR and tech community. She's working in XR since the early days as co-founder of Vienna-based XR agency Vrisch. As founder of XR Vienna community, she's bringing the industry together. And she's an activist for more women in XR as the Austrian chair of Women in Immersive Tech. Look forward to an exciting interview with Gabriella Chihan-Stanley. And before we get to the interview, here are the news of the week. First numbers of Meta Quest 3 arrive on Steam. Valve's monthly hardware and software survey covers all VR headsets that were connected to PCs with Steam installed. And what we see now is how Quest 3 finally shows up in the November statistics. With 5.2% market share, the newly released headset makes a strong first appearance. Quest 2 is still leading with over 40%. And as we know from Amazon numbers, Quest 2 might still be sold more often than Quest 3. But it will be interesting to see how those numbers develop in the coming months. The new statistics come days after Steam released an update for its PC VR streaming software Steam Link, which makes it possible to stream Steam games to Quest 2, 3 and Pro. What you need is a wired connection between your PC and your router, as well as a new Steam Link app on the Quest device. In the meanwhile, Meta provides more updates to its ecosystem. With Quest version 60 update, the Guardian will be stored in the cloud, which should reduce the numbers you have to reconfigure as soon as you change the location. Meta also ships a design update to the profile page and enhances the performance of Quest Pro in mixed reality modus, which could mean 34% more CPU as well as 90% GPU performance. Also, don't miss out 3 new Quest Home environments. But Meta is not the only one working on its ecosystem. HTC VIVE finally shipped the Ultimate Tracker, which is HTC's first self-tracking tracker. With 94 grams and battery for 7 hours, you can pair up to 5 of these with a headset. One single tracker will cost you €229, and there's no charging dongle included. There are kits and bundles, but that doesn't make them cheaper, but you get a game for free or a strap. Only if you already own a VIVE XR Elite headset, you can buy the 3+1 bundle and save €100 when you provide the serial number. For now, the tracker is only compatible with the VIVE XR Elite headset. More headsets will come, as well as support for OpenXR and SteamVR, HTC says. So, what do you say for that offering? Ready to pay €1,000 for full body tracking in VR chat? Or do you think it's again meant to be for professionals' use only? Let us know in Discord. And finally, I want to invite you to our very last meetup of the year, the Spatial Realities Winter Special. We are invited to join the team of Time Ride at Cologne's Heumarkt at the 20th of December at 8 p.m. We will get an office tour and afterwards sit in the historical replica of a tram to do a time travel to the year 1926. And to finish off the year, we will go to the Christmas market, which is just outside the location, for some Glühweins. So join us at the 20th of December at 8 p.m. This edition of the Meetup is sponsored by Köln Business. Thank you very much. By the way, you can find all the links to the news in the show notes. And if you want to talk about spatial computing, metaverse, or the future of 3D internet, you're welcome to join our Discord server, where new interesting people sign up almost every day. So, next up, I'm happy to welcome Gabriella Chihan-Stanley. She is co-founder and communications manager of XR content production company Vrisch, which just has been nominated with a project at the VR Awards and already won a lot of them in the past. Gabs is also the founder of XR Vienna, Vienna's first community of XR professionals. Gabs was under the 20 Best European Women Founders of 2018 and is an active member of Women in Immersive Tech. And we almost met at the pre-event at AWE and walked past each other a couple of times in the exhibition area. Time to have a chat about everything Gabs is doing. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Thomas. A pleasure to be here.
It's very nice to have you here. I saw you a couple of times already in real life, and it's just like on every conference, you just have not enough time to talk to everybody you want to talk to. But that doesn't mean we can't meet each other here at the podcast, so it's great to have you here. So how did you like the AWE in Europe, in Vienna this year? I'm, to be honest, pretty new to the XR conference thing. I've been, of course, on many conferences before, but not so much in XR conferences. So you have been on conferences above almost 8 years or 10 years or so, in a lot of conferences, and you can compare a little bit. So from your perspective, besides being the conference in your own town where you live, that's always very comfortable. How did you like it?
Well, to be honest, I will start with what you just said. It was great that happened in Vienna for the first time. Last year I was attending the AWE in Lisbon, and before that it was in Munich, I think. But it was the first time that I actually had to make zero effort, let's say, to go somewhere, which was really cool. And what I think about the conference is that, as you said, every conference has its own personality, so to say, or its own focus. So what AWE does very, very well is actually it focuses a lot on business and business networking and business opportunities. And I like very much the approach of bringing industry cases from, like pretty much how to make money with XR, right? Because so far we have been focusing a lot, at least locally, on cultural events or cultural conferences and initiatives, which is great because, Vienna is known for, a city of culture. But having such a big conference in this context was really great. Yeah.
What did you like the most?
To be honest, what I enjoyed the most is just meeting random people in the aisles. Because as you said, I know a lot of people, right? But a lot of people I don't know. And sometimes people know me, but I don't know them. So I was always trying to go to one talk or the other. And then someone was like, hey, Gabs.
Yeah.
And in the end, truth be told, I saw the talks only on recaps. I saw the talks afterwards in the recording, because for me, the special moment was to talk to people and get to know them or what they do. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you also been to the party? Some people try to go to the party, but departed soonish. Have you been on the party?
Yeah, I've been on the party briefly. Because, first of all, the weather was really bad that day. And it was not very easy to get there. I must say, on the defense of AWE, I told them that they have to communicate this more openly. But they were organizing catering, for example. They were organizing drinks, and then there was an issue with that, and there was nothing they could do. So I'm saying this because, of course, we arrived there and, we had to pay for our drinks and all these kind of things. But sometimes there's more than meets the eye, and I just believe that this should be known as well.
Yeah, cool. Then they should have communicated it. Just be relaxed and just communicate it, because everybody who was there was like, what is going on here? And that's a pity, like you organize a great conference, but the party is shit. No, don't do that. But interesting to hear that something happened. They should have told us, to be honest. Let's make a check behind the party and talk more about you and your company. You have been nominated at the VR Awards. I just said that in the introduction. For which project was that?
So we were nominated in the category of Best VR Campaign of the Year. And it was for a project. It was 2.5 years of production for 6 interactive installations for Europe's biggest lighting world, that is here in Pil Tirol. So as a project, it got nominated. No, I mean, like we were hesitating, like, okay, do we present one of these initiatives, or we present it as a whole? And we decided to present it as a whole. Just a bit of background on the project. No? So we were commissioned by this company to create the customer journey with them, no, from the moment that the person enters the shop until the moment they leave. So every experience is following the customer throughout the shop, and it's giving them a bit of storytelling about the company, about their values, about their products, and so on and so forth. Tell me if I'm like talking too much, because I love talking about this.
Please talk more.
Like, I love what I do.
That's your job.
Yeah. So I mean, for us, it was a very unique opportunity, because from one side, it was the first time that we could actually start a project together with the building. I mean, they were building the infrastructure and everything. I mean, the foundation, everything. And that's the moment that we got into the project. So we could pretty much see the blueprints and say, okay, we think that this place is going to be great because of the lighting conditions, because of this, because of that, because of the space that we had. So it was a big playground, so to say. I mean, it was really like going to, I don't know, Willy Wonka's factory and saying, let's make all these interactive installations, right? So in the end, something that for us was also exciting was the opportunity to kind of search for the greater good in a marketing context. Because at Vrisch, we do applied immersive entertainment. What does that mean? That we actually use entertainment to solve problems, whether that means marketing, whether that means we work a lot in environmental protection projects as well, with visitor centers and museums with the topic of environment, and also in performing arts. But in a nutshell, what we try to do is to actually bring entertainment to deliver an important message. So in this particular case, I mean, marketing projects are always kind of, for me, I will speak for myself, no? That I always go back and forth with, okay, is this a meaningful project, or am I just like losing my soul, right? I mean, to make something that is making people buy things, maybe they need it, maybe they don't, So in this project, we said, okay, let's try something, I mean, let's really add a little bit of the greater good in all of them, even if we weren't asked to do that. So it would be finding the best of both worlds, right? I mean, like trying to find a win-win, right? But with clients, you never know, right? I mean, you never know if the client is going to say, no, I want my product to be placed there with my logo as huge as possible and tell wonders about us, no? But, well, it had a happy ending. So yeah, I mean, it had the main feature of that all the installations share in common is a heavy emotional connection with not only with the products, but also with people and themselves, no? Because there's one installation, for example, that pragmatically speaking, let's say, it was for when you go shopping as a parent, right? So you go with your kids and then you want to decide what to buy. And of course, I mean, you have to pay attention to the kids too, right? So you also don't want to just give them any entertainment or just tell them to shut up and follow you. So how to solve that, right? So what do kids fear the most, let's say, between the ages of 4 and 8? And in my case, at least with my kid, is darkness, no? The fear of darkness, no? Like my kid always wants to sleep with the light on, some light on. So we work with a lighting company. So, like lighting company, darkness. So we said, hey, why don't we make a playful experience that actually helps kids overcome their fear of darkness, right? So this was very exciting because we could see it in front of our eyes, no? Like how kids were like, oh no, it's dark, or oh no, there's zombies coming from the dark. But in the end, they were, when they see themselves in the LED wall, because an interactive LED wall, we AI enhanced it. Mm-hmm. So that was really the buzzword of the moment, right? I mean, we use AI not to recognize them individually, but recognizing movement, position, mm-hmm. and training the tracking, exactly. And so they became lamps, and their weapon was actually beams of light, no? Mm-hmm. So, and that's from the empowerment side, let's say. That was the greater good that we wanted to give, right? But from another side, imagine that the kid is seeing themselves as the product of the client, right? So when they see it in the shop, they're like, hey, this is me, right? So from a marketing perspective, it was also good for the client, no? So everybody wins.
Cool. Okay. So, and this was also part of the whole building. You have been working with the customer to find out, okay, how can we enhance the experience of going into the building, shopping and stuff like that with immersive experiences in some way?
Exactly. The role of immersive experiences in the shop was actually to, first of all, as I said, by bringing this emotional connection, right? I mean, because if... now more than ever, we're talking a lot about mindful shopping, right? I mean, a mindful experience. Like I read somewhere a phrase that was very interesting as well, that said, we actually, customers don't buy what they can afford. They buy what they choose to afford. No? So what do we choose to afford? We choose to afford products that align with our values, right? I mean, that they're transparent with us, that we can feel like we connect with them. No? So this was a bit of the main mission, right? So XR in general is a great medium to connect, right? I mean, whether with each other, whether with ourselves, whether with the products that we love. And so, yeah, I mean, I hope I was replying the question, because my neurodivergent brain, I mean, sometimes jumps from here to there.
It was interesting either way, so that's very fine. So listeners will recognize right now what kind of person in XR you actually are and what your priorities are. So we will talk about that later in the podcast, of course, way more. But as usual, I'm very happy when I invite people who actually have some history in XR, and watchers of the video will recognize a couple of some very interesting headsets in the background. So yeah. There is some history. I see a DK2, for example, very obviously, and other things. So your story starts actually pretty early. So maybe let's jump a little bit back in your history. And when was your first time you actually discovered, okay, XR, or however it was called back then, is actually something I want to work more with?
Yeah, absolutely. So you want the story about how I lost my VR virginity, no?
Probably. That's how they call it, yeah.
I wrote a blog post about it because it was actually a very funny experience, right? So I ran the business with my husband, actually with Axel. And Axel and I made in Barcelona. So my background is I come from digital arts and advertising. I mean, this is my career. And Axel comes from filmmaking. But back then in 2000, a long ago.
14.
Yeah, exactly. 2000. No, I mean, like before that, because in Barcelona we started working as freelancers in 2006, no? But in advertising agencies, right? So this was a way that we could actually put our talents combined, right? So we were both freelancers, but destiny was putting us together already, because whenever one presented a project idea, got hired, and then the other one presented the project idea and got hired as well, no? So we were meant to work together. So long story short, in one of the last advertising agencies that we were working with, they started exploring 360 video. That was in 2013. So it was very simple back then because it was pretty much 360 photos, right? I mean, it was this guided tours that you would just click, and you could go from one room to the next, and you could watch it in the famous cardboards, you know, like old school technology, you know. Imagine to say old school when it's not so long ago, right? So this is a moment that, you know, we were like, okay, this really has a future, especially I love stories, right? I mean, I'm a writer on my spare time, and I'm also a script writer. So for me, the potential for storytelling was huge. No, so then Axel and I got married. We decided to get married. So, you know, business, life, everything went inside the bag. And we decided to move to Vienna because Axel is Viennese. My family is on the other side of the ocean because I'm from Paraguay, and we wanted to start a family as well as a business. So yeah, I mean, like we founded Vrisch in 2015. 2015.
And let me ask a question in between. When you arrived in Vienna, how much XR was in Vienna? How did it look back then?
Well, actually, I mean, I didn't know anyone that was doing VR, at least VR by itself. No, I mean, like there were some people from advertising agencies or media production companies that were exploring the medium, but back then it was more as an experiment or small projects. Right. I mean, there wasn't any agency, let's say, solely dedicated to these kind of experiences. And this is a moment that Axel and I said, okay, maybe this is our chance, no, to actually form something that is solely dedicated to the creation of VR experiences. And this is how Vrisch was born.
Yeah.
So, and we always kept the immersive entertainment aspect, although back then it wasn't explicitly immersive entertainment because, you know, we grew with the technology, right? I mean, the technology is not today what it was back in the days. No? Yeah. We started with 360 videos, and then we kind of used our filmmaking, digital arts knowledge, and then it started evolving into more 3D, then 6 degrees of freedom VR, and so on and so forth, until what it is today.
Yeah. So a lot of people start with XR because they are developers and they are some kind of gaming nerds or nerds in a technical way, trying to find out what they could do with the technology. From what I understand, you were more the creative ones and storytellers. So, but there's still the technical aspect of it. So how did you manage that?
I mean, in two ways. I mean, first of all, Axel and I share something else in common. That is, we come from really nerdy families. Like both of our fathers were inculcating technology since we can remember. Like, my dad's favorite activity was going to Radio Shack back then and showing me, look at this cable, look at this, look at that. So I kind of learned all these things. Like I never knew that I was going to use it. No, I mean, like basic programming language and so on and so forth. Axel, the same. As I said, like we shared so many things in common, right? So, but besides that, what was important for us is we didn't know who we could collaborate with, especially when there wasn't any VR company like functioning in Vienna, right? So this is a moment that we also, I thought, why don't we form a community, actually? I mean, why don't we just call, we make a Meetup site, like really low budget, right? I mean, to say, okay, 3 questions in mind. Who else is out there? What do they know? Mm-hmm. And how can we exchange knowledge and create something that is bigger than the sum of our parts? So this is how we got to meet all our team, actually. Like one by one, we met them through the community events. I mean, we knew them as human beings, as professionals, and this is a value that actually the community brought to us, and this exchange of knowledge, but also exchange as human beings.
So you started XR Vienna.
And
right?
I started XR Vienna, yeah.
So this is actually the reason you started XR Vienna. And when was that exactly? 2016, I believe, right?
It was January 2015. 2016. Yeah, because the company was founded in November 2015. And then 2 months later, we organized the first community events. So it was pretty much a double birth. So
it's like 8 years old right now.
Yes.
Tomorrow you will have your Christmas event with Glühwein and self-made cookies.
Exactly.
And, I already spoke, for example, for Cologne guys who made an initiative for VR. I, of course, spoke with Next Reality from Hamburg, you probably know, which are very popular. So tell us a little bit more about XR Vienna. How many people are there? How did it start? You already started with that a little bit. And how did it evolve the last 8 years?
Yeah. Well, actually, as I said, like we started with questions more than anything, question and curiosity. So the 3 questions again was that who else was out there? What do they know? And how can we contribute to something bigger than the sum of our parts? Because as you probably know, like back then it was really just a handful of small companies or just freelancers, right? Like doing, using the technology for this and that. So anyway, so the first event, we were 20 people, like from all walks of life. And everybody was kind of afraid, no? I mean, not afraid, but they were kind of like, okay, what are we going to find there, right? I mean, like, who are we going to find there? So the main thing that I wanted to work on was not too much the technical content, I mean, the content itself, but more on the atmosphere, right? To say, okay, VR is a very intimate medium, right? Because we surrender our privacy in a lot of cases. We surrender our control to our environment. So we need to feel like we're safe. So this is how our ethos was born. That is, no ego, no shame. Under our roof, we're all equal. Because we didn't put any labels on people. We didn't say, okay, you have to know X amount of information, or you know, I mean, we wanted everybody to feel safe and free. And this is where being South American kind of, came in handy, because like I was born with this, like my grandmother, my aunts, telling me, okay, you have to make people feel welcome and happy. And I enjoy this very much, So it starts with little details, right? I love making handmade things, So I always bake cookies, or I make homemade sandwiches, I mean, we can work in virtual reality, but we have to make it real, right? And making it real is, we're humans, right? I mean, in the end, what reaches our hearts is human connection.
Yeah.
So we were, as I said, 20 people, and now 8 years and 1,700 members later, we slowly became Austria's biggest XR community. And always keeping this emotional factor, this camaraderie, this friendship, and this. It's funny because the industry is changing so rapidly and so much, and the players are changing. And a lot of people are not part of the XR industry anymore, at least directly, but we're still friends, I mean, we still hang out, a lot of them are coming to our parties, or a lot of them are coming to our events, because we're building something more than just technology, something more than just products, and our children know each other, so it's bigger than just an industry.
Yeah, sounds like like a club somebody should actually join when they are in Vienna doing anything with immersive technology. So we don't have that here in Cologne. I tried to build that a little bit since 2021. So a lot of things, a lot of way to go here. But we already see something happening here. So we had a VR meetup early on too, but they stopped after 4 years or so. There was some kind of a cooling down of the industry. Maybe you also recognize that in XR, like the years before the Corona pandemic. How did you survive things like that? There's some enthusiasm in the market, and everybody is very excited about the technology and about the community. Then it cools down, and Google stops their cardboards, and Samsung stops their stuff, and everybody's asking themselves, oh my God, where's the industry going? Then something like the pandemic happens. What's your advice to how to survive something like that?
Endurance. I mean, you really have to love what you do, and you have to know, especially you have to know why you're doing it. And the why, like to answer the why, at least in my experience, doesn't come from, I want to make money out of this, or I want to, it doesn't come from work, the why. It comes a bit of like through the blend of who you are, your purpose, right? How is this aligning with your purpose, or how, And for me, this has always been the interest in people, right? I mean, how can we improve as a humanity? So when it comes to as you said, cooling down, right? The industry, like this trend goes up, this goes away, you know, like we heard a lot about the metaverse, for example. Now we don't hear as much of the metaverse as we did before. Now everything is about AI, you know? So specifically, when it comes to XR Vienna, we were meeting in person a lot more pre-pandemic, and we are still gradually increasing these numbers again, right? But it's not yet the same as it was before, because we learn a different life, right? I mean, we learn that, from one side, we learn to communicate in different ways, right? I mean, the pandemic was teaching us to stay connected no matter what, right? I mean, especially through technology. But looking at it from the bright side, what I see happens now is that we see different people in different events, depending on the interest. That's one thing. And we meet less times, but every time we meet is very meaningful. You know, I mean, time is very scarce, right? So if we actually make the effort to go somewhere, if we make the effort to meet people, we want to like the people, we want to like the content, we wanted to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
So this is how we survived, you know? I mean, we weren't really like making an effort, let's say, to provide the shiniest, whatever content or the shiniest speaker. It's more like, hey, guys, you know what? I mean, I'm struggling. Are you struggling? Okay, let's struggle together, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can confirm that from my point of view, because what I try to do with my meetup is doing it 4 times the year, and then we only did it 3 times because it felt like that's better, you know, like, and it was 3 times very good. It was like a lot of people came, they were very engaged, and you can see that they're engaged when the meetup starts at 7. You have 90 minutes of content, and then they stay until 10:30 and they don't want to go. You know, when something like that happens, you understand, okay, something happens here. And I guess it's on your meetups the same, like people stay. That's absolutely, that's something which is very interesting. And what I wanted to know is a little bit of when you talk about XR Vienna, you are like a community manager. You're like a good soul of the community, trying to hold everybody together no matter what happened in the industry. What is your plans for the future? For example, when I think at Next Reality Hamburg, I know they are happy that the city of Hamburg is supporting them with money, with room, and give them freedom and say, okay, let's do things because we know how important the technology is. What is your construction? What is your construct of XR Vienna, and how do you want to proceed in the coming years?
Oh, that's a big question. No, I mean, like what we started doing now, when I say we, is because, as you can imagine, like I'm not the only one organizing the events. I mean, I founded the community, and that was the only thing that I did relatively alone, because Axel was with me like every step of the way, right? But we're actually 4 event organizers right now. I mean, there's like we organize it through our companies as well, right? I mean, like to be able to sponsor the events, right? Because there's 2 ways to do things, like in my view, at least. Like one is to wait for the perfect moment to happen, to have the enough money to do it, to have the perfect place, the perfect people, the perfect tech, the perfect everything. Or you just do it, right? You just do it with whatever you have, and you give your very best, you know? And this is what we have been doing so far. And to be honest, a lot of times I thought to myself, okay, but we could have more, I don't know, resources to do this and that, you know. And we were approached by, manufacturers, headset manufacturers, for example, to sponsor the events and so on and so forth. And I'm not saying no, you know, but for me, what would be most important is that whatever sponsorship one gets, that actually is a sponsorship that understands the personality of the community. Mm-hmm. Because nobody wants to be a sellout.
Yeah, of course. No? Yeah.
And this is easier to be said than done, because many times people knock on your door and say, hey, here's a bucket of money, you know, I mean, like, here, have it all, you know, have this super beautiful place, you know, but you have to have me as a speaker. You have to, you know, promote my products. You have to do this and that, you know. So in the end, it's a biased thing from the beginning, right? So where do you draw the line? Mm-hmm. And so I don't know, I'm a bit of an activist when it comes to that, like I understand the need of promoting your sponsors and all this, but at the same time, it shouldn't come out of the expense of your soul.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, it's like I have the feeling that they would ask you because you are an activist, because that makes them more credible. And I'm pretty sure if you would say them, okay, let's do this, Meta or HTC, here is what we do. Like I'm pretty sure they would agree. I also experienced the same thing right now, because they saw, okay, he's doing it since 3 years now, or almost 2.5 years or so. That's something which is actually worth sponsoring. So they approach one and they say, okay, here's a bucket of money, and then what do you do? Of course, I say, okay, we do it in my way, because this is how it works, and we don't change that. Do you agree? And maybe that works. I will tell you next year.
Please tell me.
But that's the way you have to do, because else you will lose the community, and then you lost everything. And they also know that. I'm pretty sure. So that's maybe a way how to handle that. And to be honest, for example, this year I had a cooperation with VR Expert. You probably heard about them.
Nice. Yeah.
What did they do? They just gave us all the hardware goodies, and it was perfect. And I said to them, do it this way. They did it this way, and it turned out great. So sometimes it works. And I'm pretty sure you also, especially as you know how to do things in VR or in XR and design experiences, they probably trust you enough to actually get that done. As you said, you are also some kind of activist. I was thinking that you are actually an activist because you are also engaged in Women in Immersive Tech. I don't know much about it, so that's, I think, a good place to start with it. So if you can tell me all the things about Women in Immersive Tech, please do so. What is it, and what's your role there?
So Women in Immersive Tech is an international foundation, because by now it's already a foundation. It's not just an association of women empowering women or individuals who identify themselves as women, and to have more representation and equality within the XR industry. Because as you probably know, this is a tricky topic, right? I mean, like, I just came back from, as you said, I came back from the Immersive Tech Week. I came back from the VR Awards. And on stage, I saw 2 women amongst like 25 men, no? Yeah. And I'm not crucifying men, I mean, men are allies, as well, because I also don't like when some ladies say, okay, no, now women have to conquer. No, I mean, we're fighting for equality, not domination, because in the end, we don't want to fall into, what we're complaining about. So women in Immersive Tech is exactly that. No, so we're also nurturing the next generation of creators. Like right now, we had an initiative called the Badass Girls. So what we do is we empower and give tools to young women, like from the age of 12 to 17, and we give them the opportunity to design their first project. So, and they come from all over the world. I think they were this year 17 girls. And they were present at the Immersive Tech Week, for example, and they were present at AWE. So they can share their why, they can share their story, they can share how the industry is also affecting them, whether as humans or also the technology itself. So these are the kind of initiatives that we do through Women in Immersive Tech. So my role in specific is I'm the Austrian ambassador of Women in Immersive Tech. And specifically when it comes to Austria, we don't have a big representation of women in the industry yet. So my job is actually to build this community of women. And sometimes no, most of the times, right? You don't find them in the context of tech, I mean, you find them a lot in research and academia. In academia, there's a lot of women involved, right? But when it comes to the business aspect of it, we actually bring in women from creative industries, for example. no, from a background in communication or marketing, or I mean, even science, no, because that's the beauty of XR, right? I mean, like you can work across disciplines and across technologies in order to achieve a result, no? So yeah, I mean, this is my role in Austria. So it's quite exciting as well.
And where is it taking place? How can I join when I'm a woman listening right now to this podcast?
I mean, so far we were combining it with some of the XR Vienna events, because we are all doing, organizing the events on a voluntary basis. So we have to make the best of our time, right? So what we do is we make specific events with the topic of what does it mean to be a woman in XR? What would it imply to be a woman in XR? You know, and what tools do you need to thrive? You know, what are your biggest challenges and how can we address them? But what we are mainly working on right now is actually to create this first community of women who are willing to build this with us.
And do you have something like a website, Discord, so where you can also connect online?
Yeah, so far, Women in Immersive Tech has a LinkedIn page and a Facebook community. Cool. I mean, I'm more connected with the LinkedIn page, to be honest. I mean, the LinkedIn community is more me than the Facebook one, but we're quite active in both. And if not, I'm always available I'm an email away. So I'm Gabs, as everybody knows me. So it's gabs@xrvienna.at, because I use the XR Vienna email to not have yet another email, you know?
Yeah.
This is Women in Immersive Tech. I mean, we are pro diversity, you know, in every country that we can put our hands on.
Yeah. And being somebody who tries to bring women on the stage and in front of the microphone, I know the struggles finding women, to be honest. And I was also asking why it is actually so difficult to bring race and gender equality to XR. And for example, for me, it's really hard to find somebody. What can be done? Why is that this way? Why is it so difficult?
Well, I can tell you my own experience. I always have this feeling that not feeling, I mean, it's a fact, no? That I have to be everything for everybody in order to have the right to be somebody in the industry, you know? Because we are professionals, yes, but we're also mothers, we're also women, right? We're also partners, wives. And like women still, like we are working on catching up, right? I mean, like for everything that men were, you know, like privileged enough to get from a very long time ago, right? So it's very difficult to pave your way, no? To be able to compete with men, right? Because as I said, this being everything for everybody, it really takes a toll on our mental health. Like I constantly struggle, for example, like with anxiety, you know, with you know, even FOMO, right? And usually you find women, at least in my experience, that we're dealing with so much in order to win our place there. And as you probably know, like the positions for women sometimes, I mean, the positions for everybody is sometimes it's not, the numbers are not too big, right? So what are the first things, the first things that companies, at least big companies, are looking for? They look for two things that are completely the opposite, right? One is a very experienced person that has years of experience in the technology or years of experience in a certain kind of tech management. And these are the people that they want to put on top. Or they find diversity and they use it as just ticking a box, you know? So then these people who are just choosing a woman because she's a woman, or they're choosing, I don't know, a neurodiverse person, or they're choosing, you know,
somebody from the BPOC community. Or
exactly.
So
then they say, I tried and it didn't work, you know? But this try and didn't work, you know, is because it's not enough just being a woman in order to achieve the position, you know? I mean, it's just a shortcut, you know? So it's not enough to just look at your form and say, who can tick the box that I need, right? I mean, who can be my poster girl? Who can be, you know, and this is what I see a lot happening. I mean, you see events that are promoting their projects or their products with women as women creators. And when they are going to receive the awards, they send all the men.
Yeah.
You know, and these are the kind of subtle injustices that we have to see on a daily basis. And this is why women are escaping the industry, right?
do you have a suggestion if I'm a company who wants to be better in that case? How should I do it? What's the easiest thing to do, and maybe on the long term, what should I do? I'm thinking about something like giving somebody ownership in my company and a lot of freedom to actually do something for that.
As I said, this is my very personal suggestion. Don't always search for the specialist, meaning that I don't know if it's just my impression as a South American, no, living in a German-speaking country, let's say, but I see a lot of like priorities, no, to specialization. No, I need a specialist for this. I need a specialist for that. I need and sometimes what I see is tunnel vision. It's like this person is very good at doing just that, but don't take this person outside the box. With women, I don't like to generalize, but in my experience with women, like we're so used to battle for everything that then we have this holistic view of our projects, right? I mean, we can do communication, we can do technology, we can develop, we can film, we can, talk to people, we can do a lot of things, So what I do, because in my company, we are like 50-50, right? And what we do is actually getting to know the personality of the person and see how compatible this person is with the team, right? Because you can learn everything along the way. No, you need the basic understanding of what you're doing, and then you learn as a group. No, and it's having this patience is not the word, but it's like don't expect everything to run perfectly, otherwise it's not the best choice, and then you get rid of this person and you move on, and then you hire the next guy again.
Mm-hmm. Maybe endurance is a good thing.
Exactly. I mean, something that is kind of counter intuitive in our industry is that we are in an industry that everything evolves very rapidly. So everybody wants to be the first in doing something. But at the same time, diversity is not a race, it's a marathon. And this is a contradiction that we're living in, that a lot of people in the industry see diversity as some kind of disadvantage. Because why would you go slower if you need to go fast and be the first one? Right? But what is the worth of being the first one if you're just stepping on everything in your way, and you're creating something that in the end is going to be either counterproductive for society or it's going to be something that lacks meaning?
I think this was very good to hear about these topics from you. Let's go back a little bit to Vrisch again to close the circle. We're talking 40 minutes right now, so let's go back 8 years later. Where is Vrisch standing right now? So how many employees do you have? What are your actual projects? What are your products?
Okay, so right now we are a team of 9 people. And as you can imagine, like we are half creative, half developers, I mean, like we are a very diverse team as well. And not only diverse when it comes to expertise, but we're also diverse in nationalities. I mean, we have people from different parts of the world, starting with me, So what we have started doing is we're working on our own products right now. I mean, we are keeping Vrisch as an agency, yes. But we're also diversifying towards the product, the product road, let's say. So you're using our knowledge in immersive entertainment to actually create tools to empower other creators to create their own content. One example is we are working on a tool that will help curators and artists and museums to actually plan, exhibit, and archive their exhibitions. Because right now, as you can imagine, the archiving is a huge topic in the art world, because you have all these archives. I mean, you're digitizing all the archives, but when you want to see an exhibition or when you want to see archives, you have to go through scrolling pictures, you have to go reading text, right? I mean, this is like a lot of information that is just lost in the internet somewhere, right? And also when you want to curate an exhibition, right? I mean, I still see colleagues are using the blueprint, right? And the little Kärtchen, no? I mean, the little cartons, and you put it here and there and everywhere. So we're using the same system, but in a digital way. I mean, like you use an iPad, you associate a content that you scan or you introduce to Arvus, is called the tool. And when you scan it, you associate it to a module, to a Kärtchen, right? To your digital Kärtchen. And then you can place this object in space in 2D with an iPad. And then you can see it in 3D and immediately in VR. So you can prototype very quickly, no? And you can make changes on the go. And the beauty is that it's also multi-platform. So you could be working with someone via WebXR. You could be working with someone on a headset or someone with an iPad. So you don't put technology as a limitation.
That's something I discovered the more I interview people on this podcast, that agencies become product companies more and more. And I'm wondering what your view on this is, why this happens.
I mean, I think it's two reasons, no? From my perspective. One is that if you work as an agency, there are part of your projects that you can use in other projects, but most of it is something new, right? So you're constantly creating new things. And eventually, I fall in love with every single project that I have. I give my very best. So I want to see this becoming something more than just a one-hit wonder. So this is a way we think as an agency, that we also want to create products of features that we really like. And we want people to enjoy it for a longer time or enjoy it as much as we do. And this is the migration that we do from making service projects, let's say, project work, and making products out of our experiences. No, that's one thing. And secondly, is that when one works as an agency, especially in the field of XR, the projects fluctuate, right? I mean, there could be one part of the year that you have a lot of projects, right? And then another part of the year that you're struggling to get projects, right? I mean, it's not a constant flow, let's say, of projects. So if you want to think long term, if you want to plan ahead, if you want to, also be responsible for your team and so on and so forth, then you need to think of a more stable and long lasting outcome.
Yeah.
And this is why we go into the product way as well. I mean, we don't leave the agency work because honestly, I love the thrill of having these very fast moving creativity moments and also seeing technology evolving so rapidly. But projects is a bit of a refinement of the things that we do.
And agency work maybe also is inspiring in some way, as every case is still unique and you have to find out new things, learn new technology maybe, because every customer is different. And if you don't just want to sell the same project over and over, which also happens, like you can do this one AR thing and you sell it just 100 times this year because, well, it works. This can be boring, but as I understand, you don't do that way. But there's another aspect I'm wondering, because what you also might have experienced is that technology changed so much. So you have been talking about the cardboard. Last Monday, the Vario showed us the XR4. There is a bit of a difference between a cardboard and this device. So something happened there in the last 8 years or 10 years even. So is there something going out from technology itself which also helps making more products now? Maybe I have the feeling that in the past people enjoyed immersive experiences for 7 seconds or 2 minutes, and then they were also happy that they could just walk around in the real world again. This changed.
I mean, I wouldn't say that it changed, yes. I mean, because as you said, it's a rapidly evolving technology as well. But I think one thing doesn't take away the other. I think what is happening with the industry is that it's diversifying and it's enriching itself. Because if you think of your audiences, for example, right? I mean, not all audiences are tech savvy people, So you're not going to put, my grandmother on a Vario headset, because what for? I mean, I love her, no? But I mean, she doesn't need that. I mean, she doesn't need clunky technology for her, to experience something immersive. Yet again, a person her age just puts, the Go, I'm just the memory aid, no? Yeah. I mean, she puts a Go on and she says, today I travel to Venice, tomorrow I cook with XYZ person, because technology is not for me, no, like technology is not the core aspect of what we do. It's actually content, and technology facilitates the content, the effectiveness of the content. And not all content is created equal, same as not all people are in the same need, right? Not everybody needs the same.
Yeah, not every hardware update updates every human being on Earth.
Exactly. I mean, there was one funny comment that once someone made to me once, no? That is, so what do you work on? This person said, no? And I said, yeah, I work in VR. Then you must be really good with computers. You know, I mean, this is still the perception of, okay, you work in technology, then you need to know every single headset that is out there. You need to know every single cable, how it works. No, technology is a lot more than that. You know, so I personally accept the fact that there are new software coming. Like, for example, Vision Pro, right? I mean, the Vision Pro is coming. What I think Apple did brilliantly, I mean, I won't go into details, you know, about everything, is that it's offering its many users an interface that they already know, that they feel familiar with, you know? So you don't have to learn from zero. You're not intimidated by the technology. You're not like, okay, I'm isolating myself, you know, in order to, you know, probably fail in what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to even try, no? So Apple, what did they do? They 3D-fied, right? I mean, they put information that people were using it in 2D, they put it in space, no? In a spatial manner.
Yeah. They just showed what is already there in 3D.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, so this is not, I want to believe that this is the first step, right? I mean, this is the first step towards mass adoption, but you need to pick up your audience where they're at. You can't win them by imposing technology or telling them that they're silly or they're misinformed or they're not informed enough in order to deserve your technology, you know? And this is a bit what I see sometimes, that we fall into technicalities, you know, into which headset is the shiniest one, you know, that we can brag about. But no, I mean, let's focus on, okay, how are we creating value for the people that we are telling them, stop your reality right now, and I want to show you this. How are we making it worthwhile?
Yeah. Not so much concentrating on the technical details. Some buzzwords did in the past, I would say. For example, the metaverse from 2021 was also not something which you could access only with a headset or something like that, only with the headset of Meta. Some people thought that, unfortunately, but of course it's not like that. Or mixed reality, which we have this year again, we have to say, and next year spatial computing. So these are probably good examples of that there's more than just the technical stuff, because when we talk about metaverse, for example, it's some kind of world we can do, we can go to. It's like a journey, yeah, like Utopia, yeah, which is a product itself. Like having a journey is something people understand. Mixed reality, maybe not so much. That's hard to understand. Maybe the melting of VR or digital and real world, something like that. That's how people will maybe understand it. But then there's also spatial computing, which I think is from the understanding for a customer, something they probably can't understand at all. Like metaverse, okay, that's a world somewhere else I can access. Mixed reality, yeah, something mixes. But what is spatial computing? Do you have a solution for how to explain next year when spatial computing will blow up because the Apple Vision Pro will come on the market? How to explain this to customers?
I mean, I would have to think about it, how to explain, yeah, you know, because it's like trying to explain, I don't know, consciousness, you know, I mean, like there's like 20 different definitions of what consciousness can be, you know, but for me, what spatial computing would be is taking some of our daily routine and blending the line between physical and digital reality. Like this is the way I see it, no? So for example, if right now I see a lot of this in the how do you call it? Intelligent head eyewear, connected eyewear, for example, smart glasses, that this is a step towards that, in my view. No, that this is something that, okay, we don't want to use our hands for our phones anymore, right? I mean, so we are changing to glasses. No, and the same way with mixed reality, for example, like the headsets or glasses in this case are shrinking, right? So eventually, spatial computing is in the way I see it, is a bit where everything merges, right? I mean, is wearables, so to say, with digital content that is part of your physical life. No, I mean, mixed reality for me is a very particular moment that I engage with digital content, and I go there specifically to do that, right? It's like beginning, end. But spatial computing, I see it more like an ongoing experience.
Do you think spatial computing will help women in tech, will help the community of BPOC, for example, or will it be harder to join us? I mean, for example, let's take VR. It was maybe the most exclusive technology because, of course, you needed eyes, you needed a full functioning body, maybe even a big head, because the things were designed for men and not for women. The headsets are designed for men. And now with spatial computing, maybe we can get as inclusive in immersive tech as never before. Hopefully. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's a tricky thing to answer from, why am I saying this? Because I attended a talk during the Immersive Tech Week that was about diversity and inclusion, right? And who was present in this panel? Only women, And we have been talking about diversity and inclusion for how many years right now? We have been using technology for transmitting this message for how long? So what I'm trying to say is, I don't think new technology, whether that's spatial computing or not, could change people's minds if they haven't changed their minds in the first place, So I think what we need to work on the most, is actually in the information that we get, in the knowledge, in the education. That's the word that I was searching for. And in the education of what it means to be in someone else's shoes. I always say, I don't believe that VR is an empathy machine, because if you don't have empathy, technology is not going to teach you. What it does is that it's opening a path for curiosity, So I think this is our goal that we should aim at, like awakening the curiosity, for people to explore their own way on how to find their answers. Yeah. Like for me, yes, it has value for, for the duration of the experience, whether that's VR, mixed reality, or the future technology, to put me in the shoes of someone for 2 minutes, but that is not going to change my mind forever. What is going to change my mind is the follow-up questions that I will make to myself and how interested I'm going to be, and this is a bit what I'm seeing lacking in general, from an industry perspective and from a customer perspective, that there's a lot of misinformation about the expectations of the technology, right? And what do you do when you have lack of knowledge? From a client perspective, what you do is you just produce the cheapest thing you can produce because you think, okay, you know what? It doesn't matter anyway. I don't understand it. Whatever my money can pay should be the best, and that's affecting us all, right?
Absolutely. So, I really enjoyed, I really enjoy that perspective because I also tend to stick to the thought that a new technology will rescue us all. Like that's maybe how my brain works or something like that. Like I need a fast computer to solve things. Although I also think spatial computing, which you just explained great, but is also something like, for example, we did with the voice assistants we have, like Google and Alexa and stuff like that. So as spatial computing might be the last platform, or the last computing platform ever, we maybe come to a situation where it really doesn't matter anymore what the technology is, so it might disappear. So me thinking about how to solve problems and already thinking about a faster computer might come to an end because there will be no faster computer anymore. Everything will be virtualized, and have to think about the problem. So this is what I hope what will happen. So I have no chance. I can't think about a faster computer anymore because everything is virtual. So and with the help of AI, even I can do everything almost. So that would be great. But yeah, I totally support that view. And thank you very much for joining. We are 1 hour into the podcast, and it was great having you on the show. When people want to connect to you, how should they approach you? Where can they meet you in real life the next time?
Well, my life is pretty much online at the moment because, busy times. But I will be happy to connect with all of you via LinkedIn. I mean, that's the platform that I use the most to communicate with fellow human beings digitally. And or feel free to write me an email at gabs@vrisch.com. Or just visit my website, vrisch.com, Vrisch with VR.
Of course.
And I'll be happy to stay in touch. And of course, when it comes to physical reality, you should sign up for our meetups. That is meetup.com/XR Vienna to stay informed about our next events. Like the next one is going to happen tomorrow. So
yeah, and sometimes we will be also in all over Europe, and maybe also next year in
South by Southwest
and AWE and whatnot else. So probably check out your LinkedIn page for more information about that. This was Gabriella Chihan-Stanley, co-founder and communications manager of XR content production company Vrisch. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for the opportunity, Thomas.
And that's it for episode 59 of Spatial Realities. Thanks again to Gabs for the interview. If you like this podcast, I would be happy if you could recommend it. Feel free to share the episode on social media, send it to colleagues and friends, and write a comment on Apple Podcast and Spotify. I'd also like to point you to our Discord server. You can find a link in the show notes or on spatialrealities.de. My name is Thomas Riedel. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to have you with us next time.
Dieser Podcast ist eine Droidboy-Produktion.